Hello, today I want to talk about what is meant by effective communication and how to use that to win and get what you want. Now, before I begin, down below there's a link in the description. And if you click on it, there's actually training on what I truly believe to be the most important skill to learn when it comes to marketing a product, service, or idea online, digital marketing. Now, most people's problems in life are probably due to communication, right? Just look at relationships. Another classic example is sales, dating. Uh, Effective communication is when, to me, is when you convey a message and the person gets the message, uh, what you want them to get. Okay. Now that is effective communication. Of course, it gets way deeper. I mean, it gets huge, deeply. In fact, if I want to convey a message to somebody and the person received a different message than the one I wanted to give them, whose fault is that? I would say it's my fault. Okay, it's the person who does the communicating. That's whose fault it is. Now, the one skill I want to learn is how to be a better communicator. It's a hugely important skill. Um, Not just with body language, telling if someone's lying. In fact, a side tip on that is one way you could tell if someone's lying is because if their words and voice tone don't match, then there's a good chance someone's lying. Uh, Now, if you think about it, there's a language to social media as well. And every platform speaks a different language. Interesting story about myself. I actually lived in Cambodia, the country, for over 2 years. And of course, the language is different, right? And not just with the spoken word, but their culture is different. The law is completely different. The way they do things is different. And Cambodia is a very fascinating place to me, just like Thailand, because it's very secretive. Okay, it's a very secret society. And if you do go to another country, yeah, you probably already know this, but it's good to be respectful of their culture, their ways of life. The problem with many Americans, including myself sometimes, is that there's this arrogance. Okay, it's not good. And if anything bad happens, you will lose because you're the outsider. That's actually what happened to me too. I got a disagreement, and boom, uh, I got deported from the country. So that's just what happens. Learn from my mistake. But I'm actually a big believer in this too. There's a book on this called "Ego is the Enemy," and there's a lot of truth to that. My ego is my enemy, and all egos are enemies. So if you do go to another country too, learning the language of that country helps a ton. Even if you only speak a few words, it's way better than not speaking the language at all. Now, with face-to-face communication, which is actually getting more rare because a lot more people are communicating on these devices, these smartphones, right? Uh, you might have heard that voice tone, body language make up 90% of communication. And words is 10%, right? Have you ever heard that? Well, according to Jordan Belfort, who's an amazing salesperson, when you're talking, the words mean a lot. And when you're not talking, body language and plays a huge role. How you're listening to them and how you say your words do mean a lot too. Okay, it's an important thing to pay attention to when it comes to face-to-face sales and even sales over the phone. Um, in fact, sales has its own language. Okay, there's a whole methodology about sales, and learning that correct language really makes a huge difference um, with anyone's success in that. If you're going to do that career or whatever. And that's what made Jordan Belfort so successful. It wasn't that he found, cheap stocks that he could sell to the rich. It was the fact that he could take anyone out of the blue and teach them how to sell. And that really expanded everything. And he leveraged that to make a lot more money for himself. All right. So like I mentioned today, most communication takes place on the internet, social media, instant messages, which the cool thing about the internet, there's just so much opportunity because there's so much leverage, right? Every platform speaks a different language. Instagram speaks hashtags. Learning how that system works will help you, so that you could, take advantage of the tool, okay? And you can use social media to do anything you want, really. Connect with old friends. It's just a great tool to communicate with a lot of people. You could use it to communicate with people overseas or whatever, or learn, right? But it is just a tool. The important thing is you should be using the tool. Don't have the tool use you, right? That's why there's like addiction and stuff. Facebook, a lot of times Facebook uses other people, which is Facebook's probably the most successful thing ever created. Um, Learning how the platform works helps a ton. Facebook is the #1 social media platform out there, right? And they don't even have to spend money on like a TV show like Netflix or anything, right? Netflix spends billions, or I don't know how much, insane amount of money. Facebook, they don't spend money. They use your photos and your stories to advertise, to sell the advertisements, right? That's how the whole thing works. It's a fascinating thing. But the whole Facebook thing speaks EdgeRank. And once you know how EdgeRank works and how that language works, then of course you could use your platform to your advantage. If you don't know how that language, then you're not really going to be as effective. Okay, YouTube language speaks Google, and however, knowing the platforms and knowing the language, is one thing. Okay, but learning how to convert attention into a sale is another language itself. It's much harder. That's one thing I did not learn, uh, a while back ago. Quick story of myself. Uh, 3 or 4 years ago, I had another YouTube channel. Was very successful, had over 2 million views. So I understood the language of how Google worked and how rankings worked, keywords, and all that kind of stuff. And I was pretty successful at it. A lot of my videos were getting a lot of views and stuff like that. But what I didn't know is how to convert that attention into an actual sale. And there's a lot of work after that first sale. And there's a whole other language to that as well, a skill set. And if I had to do it all over again, if you're going to go in the online digital world and you're going to do, market a product, a service, or idea, the first thing you should probably learn, if I had to do it all over again, was learning that skill set of converting attention into a sale. It's not easy as you think. And then, of course, it's what you do after that sale. So if you want to learn that, click that link below, and I'm sure you'll love it. And I wish you the best. Take care. Bye.